Right, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. So welcome to FIN420 for the group of 2M, if I'm not mistaken. But before we go the content, let me share with you some introduction. Right, so as I mentioned, this is FIN420, Financial Management. Pernah paper ni diberhentikan for a while, where they introduced FIN430 masa tu. But somehow they revert back to FIN420 for the new cohorts. I guess you guys are among the ones yang baru lah join. But anyway, a bit about myself. Okay, my name's Muhammad Faizal bin Basri. So don't confuse myself dengan your coordinator. Coordinator you, dia Encik Muhammad Faizal Kamarudin, MFK tu So anything related dengan the programs, you nak ambil cuti khas ke, you want to add or drop courses ke, anything lah administrative, you contact dengan Encik Faizal Kamarudin tu So don't go to me lah kalau nak tanya pasal anything administrative issues, sebab memang I don't have anything I don't have any say about that. So kalau you perlukan bantuan mengenai study programs, contact dengan your coordinator lah, Encik Faizal Kamarudin tadi. But anyway, I got my PhD in Islamic Finance from Durham University. And prior to that, semua my education datang daripada UiTM lah. Right, my master's, my degree. You all boleh dengar kan? And also my diploma as well, all from UiTM. And on top of that, I'm also a registered financial planner certification, and also certified MFSC trainer from Malaysian Financial Planning Council. Currently attached with UPSI, okay, and pernah the short stint with University of Warwick dekat UK for 1 year. And prior to that, prior UPSI sebenarnya, I pernah berkhidmat juga dengan UiTM as a lecturer for 5 years. And way back before that lagi, pernah jugalah work as in M-Bank masa itulah, right? Way back in 2004, so 20 years ago. Right, and kat bawah tu adalah my contacts, my mobile number and also my email addresses. So my mobile tu, kalau katakanlah you want to create a WhatsApp group contohnya for group 2M ni, nanti just add me in dalam group tu lah. Okay, thank you. Sekejap dengar macam ada try nak join tadi. Okay. Okay, for this course, financial management, it has 3 credit hours. Okay, 3 credit hours. But since we are organizing ataupun taking PJJ, so kita punya contact hours just 2 hours every session lah. Right, and we're gonna have 7 meetings throughout the semester. So kita akan berjumpa either macam ni lah, via Webex or Google Meet ni, and also face-to-face 7 times for this particular semester. Okay, so this course is designed to enable students to understand the concept of finance. So since this is you guys are taking Bachelor of Finance kan, it will be BA Finance, but this would be the fundamental paper. Okay, sebab you're gonna learn the intermediate and advanced papers in other courses. Okay, so ni hanyalah introductory punya paper, and it will covers just the basic macam financial ratios, financial statements, the cash budgets, the concept of time value of money, right, working capital management and so on. Okay, ini semua adalah subtopics that you're going to learn throughout the semester. Okay. So for the CLO, the course learning outcomes, okay, so at the end of the course, then you should be able to, number one, explain the current and future financial plans for corporations. Number two, to report the corporation's financial position and performance. So this one, number two, CLO number two is basically will be your group assignment. Okay, group assignment you akan based on this one. Okay, so by doing the group assignment, hopefully you're gonna reach ataupun you should be able lah untuk explain ataupun dalam case ni to report the financial position and performance of the company of your choice later on. And CLO number 3 is to apply the knowledge of financial planning in order to manage shareholders' wealth. Okay. So ni dia punya expectation lah. Right? They have 3 CLOs. So the one dalam bracket kat tepi ni, kalau you perasan, dia ada PLO 1, 5 and 7. These are the program learning outcomes. So I don't have your program learning outcomes. Perhaps you can ask your coordinator, but selalunya PLO ni is what you need to achieve throughout your programs lah, sepanjang ataupun the total of 100, katakanlah your credit hours untuk habiskan program ni adalah 120 hours. So throughout that 120 credit hours tu, you should be able to reach selalunya 11, ada 11 program learning outcomes. So setiap kursus tu dia ada lain-lain lah program learning outcomes. So in totality, you should be able to reach the whole learning outcomes for the program. Sepatutnya lah. So in terms of this particular courses punya content, we have 11 topics altogether. So number 1 is the introduction to financial management. And then understanding financial statements. And the first two ni I intend to cover today. So untuk hari ni, I will try to cover both topic 1 and topic number 2. Topic 1 tu memang totally theory sahaja. But for topic number 2, we have some calculation involved lah. Okay, it starts with topic number 2, the calculation. So obviously when we set calculation, you need to have calculator lah untuk assist you to prepare all the relevant calculations. Okay, so topic 3, financial ratios. This is the one that I mentioned about your group assignment. Okay, group assignment akan revolve around topic number 3. And then we have financial forecasting and planning, right? And then we have working capital management, cash marketable securities management, accounts receivable, inventory. So the 5, 6 and 7 tu sebenarnya can lump into one big topic. Okay. And then we have short-term and long-term financing, topic 8 and 9. And finally, the final 2, mathematics of finance and capital budgeting. Okay, so this is just a broad description of your topic. Tapi kalau you nak tengok in detail setiap satu topik tu, you can go look for the syllabus. If you go to the syllabus, okay, syllabus ni you boleh download dalam eFuture. Okay, in the eFuture section course info kat bawah tu lesson plan dengan course info kalau tak salah. In the I discuss punya section tu, there's a syllabus thread I dah post and I uploaded this particular syllabus inside that. So you boleh download for your copy. Tapi here I just want to highlight, okay, description, CLO ni semua kita dah discuss. Okay, so the details of each topic you boleh tengok kat sini lah. Okay, topic number 1 dia ada subtopics dia, topic number 2, 3 and so on. Right. So panjang lah So 11 topics. And since we have just 7 meetings untuk satu semester ni, 7 kali seminar sahaja. And the final seminar itself will be allocated for the final assessment. Sebab paper ni tak ada final exam So just for the final assessment. So we just have 6 meetings je sebenarnya nak cover semua ni. Right, so obviously we don't have enough time untuk cover each and every single topics ni in class lah. Okay, so our meetings, our seminars usually will focus on the important parts of especially the calculation lah. Okay, I will reserve our meetings for the calculation topics ataupun the calculation section. So maknanya the ones yang I tak cover dalam kelas tu bukan maksud tak penting. It will be discussed dalam U Future lah. So please check regularly your U Future. So insyaAllah every week we'll have a new thread, either thread tu untuk information ke, thread tu untuk announcement ke, thread tu to discuss some questions ke. You can participate jugalah to answer ataupun to ask question kat situ. Everything will be communicated using the U Future punya features lah. Right, next up is the assessment. Okay, this is important. Macam I cakap tadi, this paper don't have final exam, so 100% coursework. Alright, so the first element is test. So there'll be 2 tests. Test 1 will give you 20%. And then we have the final test yang I cakap tadi lah, towards the final seminar 7 tu, kita akan buat final test. So that final test is 30%. So kalau you nampak kat sini, the both tests will give you half of the assessment, 50%. Okay, so my advice, don't skip test. Okay, buatlah test ni. So for the first test tu, I intend to do it just online. Okay, I will give you the question by future. You kena jawab within katakanlah I set the test tu within a certain time. So you kena submit dalam within time frame tu lah. Okay. 20%. So selalunya 20% tu 40 markah. I akan buat dalam 40 markah. 40 marks. And whatever appear in test 1 will not appear in the final test. Okay, so remember tadi kita ada 11 topics kan? This one. So my intention is to have, let's say, the first 1, 2, 3, at least the first 4 topics ni will be covered in topic 1. Will be covered in test 1. Okay, test 1. Tapi I mentioned tadi this financial ratio ni will be part of your group assignment. So masuk group assignment tak masuk lah first test. So you left with 1 topic untuk test 1. So test 1 you makin sikit lah that you need to study to cover for test 1. Okay, so topic 5 onwards sampailah capital budgeting will be covered in the final test of this 30%. Okay, so that's my intention lah untuk test section. So 50% banyak ni, separuh daripada your coursework datang daripada test. So bear in mind, please submit lah bila time frame diberi tu, especially test 1 and also the final test. Please submit it according to the time frame. Next, we have the group assignment. Okay, you're gonna have one project. Okay, one project, and the project needs you to prepare a written report. Okay, written report tu akan bagi you 20%. Okay, 20%. And from the report itself, ataupun from the project that you have to do, you have to do a presentation. Okay, that presentation give you another 10%. So total 30% kat sini. Okay, and as I mentioned, since kita punya meeting limited, we're gonna have just like 6-7 meetings sahaja. So the presentation pun kita kena buat offline juga. So meaning, usually what I do, I will ask the groups to prepare a video presentation. Okay, video presentation, like 10 minutes punya presentation, jangan lama-lama sangat. Upload it, let's say in a YouTube, then you share the link via QR code to me so that I can assess the presentation. Okay, so combine 30%. Okay, so another big chunk of your coursework. So ini pun penting lah. So bila you dah ada dalam group tu, please participate, contribute, alright, so that your group mates berpuas hati, masing-masing berpuas hati, because the marks will be given based on groups, not individual. Okay, based on group efforts lah. Okay, again, siapa yang suka by yourself, so in this you have to participate in groups. Okay, so how to do it? So some of you maybe dah kenal between each other, some mungkin tak kenal. So if you want to create a WhatsApp group later on, okay, so please do so and add me jugalah dalam tu. I dah share tadi kan my number. You can create a WhatsApp group and you can add me jugalah. And finally, individual assignments. Okay, so untuk assignments ni individual, expect at least 2 assignments lah untuk individual. So usually what I'll do, one assignment tu will be based on a written assignment. So I give one set of questions, for example, for you to do for a certain topics. Then you just submit back dalam your future, your handwritten punya answers. Just like macam soalan-soalan tutorial or quizzes macam tu. And satu lagi, usually will be based on theory parts, whereby usually it will be based on multiple choice questions. Okay, multiple choice question on a certain topic juga. I just upload the question again in the future, and then you just answer lah. I bagi you time frame, katakanlah the individual assignment 1 ni will be for 1 week. So masuk je, log in dalam you future whenever you free dalam masa seminggu tu. Tapi bila you dah buat quiz tu, selalunya dia akan bagi dalam like, let's say 20 half an hour macam tu je lah untuk jawab. Once you try to attempt to answer, so you will given that time frame untuk you jawab. Okay, multiple choice question. So selalunya kalau ada 2, maknanya 10% lah dia punya distribution of marks. So total of 100%. So since there's no final exam, so therefore there's no MC lah. So as long as you registered in the course, so you're gonna have marks at the end. Okay, so nak pass senang je, make sure semua buat lah. Everything here you buat, assignment hantar semua, group assignment you participate. Okay, test dua-dua buat. InsyaAllah you're gonna pass this paper. Right, as simple as that. So kat bawah ni there's some recommended textbooks dengan some references lah kalau berminat, but it is not compulsory to have. Okay, so I will share all the learning materials, notes dalam your future, and some past year questions pun I share dalam your future juga. Okay, so far I've uploaded at least 3 topics, okay, and some past year questions that usually, sebab kita dah tak ada final exam kan, so our final exam punya archive tu dah stop sampai a certain year lah. So itu je lah yang kita guna for our references, for our exercises untuk this course, sebab kita tak ada more recent past year questions anymore. Okay, and recap balik lah on my email and also my mobile number. Okay, ada soalan tak so far? This introduction pun dah habis aku ni. Okay. So if there's no questions, let's go straight to the first topic dulu. Macam cakap tadi, I'll try to finish both. Okay, so we have 2 groups. The earlier pukul 2 tadi, we have one group to N, and you guys to M kan. So based on my experience with 2N tadi, I spend slightly longer time dekat topic 1 ni, which I explain mungkin terlebih detail, and it end up eating more time ataupun untuk second topic, which is more on calculation. So I have to rush tadi for calculation section. So for your group, okay, since kita dah belajar from the earlier group kan, so topic 1 ni I akan try to be very brief. Okay, try not to explain in detail. But bear in mind, both groups I record. Okay, untuk yang online session ni lah, at least bila face to face tu tak boleh buat apa lah, memang tak ada recording lah. But the ones yang kelas online macam ni, I record and I will share the link dalam your future. Okay, but from the link, selalunya link tu is go to the YouTube. Okay, I upload dalam YouTube, and YouTube tu I dah ada lah the channel. So from the video yang I share, selalunya I share one link for that particular video lah, but if you go to the main page of the channel, you can explore more videos kat situ lah. Okay, some daripada group yang satu lagi, maybe you can see, or maybe from the previous semesters punya video yang masa, especially during PKP yang memang kita kena fokus on online punya session, so there's a lot of videos kat situ. You can explore lah. So just go to the channel and explore more videos kat situ lah, especially for financial management punya videos. Anyway, topic number 1, the introduction part of financial management. So we have some subtopics kat sini: financial management and business organization, what would be the goals of the firm, the functions of financial manager, and finally the relationship between risk and return. So what is finance is all about? So finance can be defined as the art and science of managing money. Okay, so when we talk about managing money, okay, kita bukan manage money that we already have sahaja. We manage money in a form as apa? Whether we are in the surplus punya condition, whereby we have excess of cash ataupun excess of money available. It also involve managing of funds yang kita tak ada lagi, whereby we are in the deficit positions, we need to borrow, for example. Okay, so this is the art and science ataupun how to manage the funds. Especially in this case, kita nak try to allocate, the financial resources secara efficient and also effective lah, right? And it involves a lot in decision making. So that's why throughout the semesters, the techniques, the topics yang kita akan go through akan discuss a lot of techniques and method. And this technique and method is actually for decision making purposes. Kita nak buat decision making, so therefore we require tools and methods and formulas, for example. So memang memerlukan banyak calculation involved lah. And these financial decisions usually importance, dalam contoh ni dia bagi some example lah. If you want to launch new products ataupun you want to purchase new assets, acquire new assets, you need to borrow money ataupun you have to have a financing, short term ke long term financings with other institutions. Nak issue bonds ke, nak issue stocks. So all of these decisions kita tak boleh simply pilih je. Nak pilih yang mana satu, A or B. No, we have to have some justification. So this justification kena back with data lah. So obviously we need data. Okay, and this data needs to be analysed, needs to be, calculated. You need to forecast, kalau kena forecast, analyse, like I said. And from there baru kita decide. So that is finance yang you akan go through lah. Berbeza dengan accounting, for example. Accounting more on collating data and then how to present the data to the readers ataupun to the users of the financial information. Okay, tapi as a finance punya person, we take that information, okay, and we do some analysis. And from the analysis barulah kita buat decision making. So we are more on the decision maker punya process lah. Okay, kalau accounting tadi more on presentation to comply dengan standards, comply with international standard, Malaysian standards to present the financial data. Tapi as the user, which is the finance people ni, kita akan decide in terms of how to use the information lah accordingly. So finance is concerned with the process, institutions, markets and instruments involved. Okay, and for those yang tak kerja dalam finance punya job scope, it will be very beneficial for you so that you can understand how the finance people work, how to convince, how to interact effectively with the peers from the finance punya personnel lah. Okay, and you understand the process and the procedures in terms of what decision making they are taking. Okay, sebab you dah tahu macam mana the tools yang diorang gunakan lah untuk buat decisions. Alright, so these are the parties involved. Okay, I ambil masa banyak tadi kat sini, so I try to cut short kat sini. So these are the, okay, macam ni. Untuk Finance 420 ni, okay, Finance 420, kita punya decisions, finance punya decisions ni, more on corporates, on corporations, bukan individual lah. You kena letak yourself as in a company. Your decision semuanya melibatkan company, either your own company or the company you are working for, right? It's not about your individual punya decision. You nak simpan duit ke, you nak invest for your own self, tak. This is more on company punya decision making lah. So, as a company, bila kita cerita pasal finance, you ada dua positions. There are two possible positions. Either you ada lebihan funds, you ada surplus of funds, company mungkin ada duit yang lebih and extra, and at the same time you might have deficit. Okay, deficit ni mungkin short term basis, mungkin you have cash flow issues, so you have deficit contohnya. So these two positions, surplus and deficit, akan menyebabkan you buat two different decisions. So what kind of decision? As simple as if you have surplus, you kena tahu kat mana you nak channel this fund. You ada duit lebih ni, takkan you nak simpan dalam bentuk cash, because cash will not give you returns. So you need to invest, you need to channel this fund untuk dapatkan returns. Okay, so you have two options. Sama ada you can go to the financial institutions or you can go to the financial markets. So financial institution ni apa? Selalunya you can associate it with banks. So you pergilah dekat bank, buka account savings ke, fixed deposit ke, and then you put your money there. Sebab you ada surplus kan, you ada duit lebih, you channel your fund and deposit it in the bank, in the financial institutions. Or alternatively, you can go to the financial markets, okay, and you have these two options dalam financial market, ada money market dengan capital market. So what's the difference between the two? Money market ni selalunya involve short term punya instruments, whereas capital market it is more on the long term instruments. Okay, short term ni maknanya tempoh matang instrumen tu tak sampai 1 tahun, 1 year or less. Tapi kalau capital market, if you invest your money in there, you have to wait longer lah. It can be, kalau bond ni it can be 5 years contohnya. Tapi stock ni dia tak ada limited time lah. Dia apa, selagi company tu wujud, it will be there. So dia indefinitely, there's no maturity for stocks ataupun shares. So that's the decision yang pertama you kena buat. You ada surplus, you kena decide you nak invest kat mana. Financial institutions, you can invest, tapi selalunya financial institution, the banks will give you lower returns. So if you want to get higher returns, you may opt for financial markets. Okay, money market, contoh-contoh money market, you can invest in government instruments. Government akan issue instruments bila dia perlukan funding, and kita yang surplus ni will invest, we buy the securities. Sama jugalah, we can use the capital market. Kita boleh beli bond, kita boleh beli company, other companies punya stocks juga contohnya. Right? So that's decision yang pertama. Second decision, when you are in deficit. So deficit maknanya you tak cukup fund. Okay, you have to borrow money, for example. Again, you have this channel juga. You're gonna go to the same parties. Okay, you can go to the bank, financial institutions to borrow money. Okay, so dia adalah types of loans ataupun financing available, business loans, term loans, okay, working capital loans, okay, working capital financing kalau Islamic contohnya. And then kalau your company is good enough, you can go into financial markets to get funding, can become the demanders of funds. Okay, you issue your own securities papers, you issue your own bonds, you can go IPOs and sell stocks, for example. So itu semua decision yang you have to go through when you are in the deficit positions. So yeah, so this is the relationship between the parties. This financial institution, even the financial markets, are actually the middleman. Dia jadi intermediary, orang tengah for these two parties, surplus dengan deficit. So orang yang surplus akan pergi dekat FIs atau financial institution dengan financial markets ni for the reason of investment. Orang yang deficit will go to the same institution sebab dia jadi orang tengah kan, to get fundings. Okay, so that's generally what is the relationship between the two lah. And in the under financial market, yang money market dan capital market ni, dia boleh pecahkan lagi kepada dua jenis market, which is the primary and secondary. So apa beza dia? Primary is for the new issuance. Bila dijual pada kali pertama tu, dia berlaku in the primary market. And if you invest in the primary market and then you want to sell it to other people, you have to sell it in the secondary market. Okay, you will sell it in the second hand market ni lah. Selalunya kita panggil dia secondary market. right? And all of this happen in Bursa Malaysia. The stock exchange in Malaysia, kita gunakan Bursa Malaysia lah, right? So kalau stocks kita ada Bursa Malaysia shares, kalau derivatives adalah BMD Bursa Malaysia derivatives, kalau bond ada Bursa Malaysia bonds and so on. But the parent company adalah Bursa Malaysia. Now, in terms of the legal forms of business organisation, kita ada 3 jenis kat sini. So proprietorships, partnerships and also corporations. All of them ada dia punya pros and cons. Okay, so kita go straight lah, pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses. So proprietorship and partnership sama lebih kurang. It's easy to set up. Okay, cuma dia punya keburukan dia ada unlimited liability. So meaning if the company has debts, liabilities and you cannot cover the debt, maknanya business tu tak boleh bayar hutang dia sendiri, as the owner of the company you have to pay your own wealth untuk bayar. Okay, so kat sini dia tulis total wealth can be taken to satisfy debt. So maknanya kalau you ada company tu ada hutang, your own wealth kena bayar on behalf of the company, walaupun company tu yang berhutang because you are the owner. These two forms of business kena tanggung lah. That's why dipanggil dia unlimited liability. Liability dia tidak ada sekatan lah. Maknanya regardless you have to pay. Okay. And keburukan dia juga dia akan dissolve. Kalau partnership ni akan dissolve bila ada salah satu partner tu yang meninggal. And sama jugalah. So proprietorship ni kalau dia owner yang meninggal, automatically the business akan tutup. Right. And so proprietorship dia sebab dia seorang, so dia kena manage everything by on his own lah basically. And cuma partnership ni kelebihan dia sebab dia lebih daripada seorang 2 or more, so dia ada more brain power and managerial skill. And funding pun dia lagi besar lah sebab dia ada ramai partner yang boleh chip in to raise fund. Tapi kalau sole proprietorship ni selalunya duit dia sendirilah ataupun duit yang dipinjam. Okay. So the ones yang kita akan discuss a lot untuk course ni adalah the corporation side. Okay, so corporation dia punya strength dia ada limited liability. So unlike sole proprietorship dengan partnership, corporates ada limited liability. So meaning the entity between the two tu dia separate. So kalau makna kat sini, if the company yang berhutang, so company saja yang perlu bayar balik. So owner ni tadi don't have the liability untuk satisfy the debts of the company. So kalau you invest dah 20,000 dalam company ni, so you punya hutang ataupun your maximum amount, you hanya tanggung kerugian 20,000 tu je lah. So you don't have to fork out your own money to satisfy other debts. So you punya maximum 20,000 tu saja. So that's why dia panggil limited liability. Okay, so can achieve large size via stock issuance. So you nak grow your company, you can go public and sell your own stocks. You can hire professional managers, better access to financing, and selalunya business ni akan run longer, and you can pass down to generations or you can hand over to other partners untuk the corporates untuk sustain. So selalunya corporation ni akan hidup lama lah. Yes. 100 of years pun boleh. Okay, tetapi kekurangan dia pula, the tax is expensive, you have to pay higher tax. Satu lagi yang ni lah, yang obvious is lack of secrecy. Okay, maknanya since you are corporates, especially public listed companies, you kena publish all the relevant information, you have to be transparent. So there's no secrecy lah, semua orang boleh tahu in and out of your financial positions, unlike sole proprietorship dengan partnership whereby you don't have to publish anything. So that's why the secrecy is the strength for sole proprietorship, tapi for corporation it is the disadvantage, dia kurang secrecy. Okay. As a goal of a firm, I just nak highlight the main goal sebenarnya ni, you just focus on the shareholders' wealth maximization. So the primary goal is to ensure that shareholders punya wealth tu to be at a highest possible returns. Okay, so selalunya macam nak tengok is by looking at the earning per share. So earning per share using this lah to measure total earnings ataupun total income ataupun total returns earning ni bukan return lah, bukan income lah. Total earning ni selalunya kita measure by punya profitability dia lah, returns dia. Bahagi dengan number of shares outstanding. Right, so the rest nanti you baca. And function of a financial manager. So all of this yang kita akan go through throughout the semesters. Kita akan go through forecasting and planning. Okay, part of their function is to forecast something yang belum berlaku lagi based on historical data. Data itu kita dah ada yang sekarang dan yang lepas. And we try to predict what will happen in terms of the financial requirement in the future. So ni kita akan buat forecasting and planning ni in topic number 4 nanti. Okay. Major investment and financial decisions, I dah mention tadi how the function of finance will help them to decide, and coordination and control. Dealing with the financial markets, macam saya cakap tadi, if they want to invest their money, which financial market they will invest in, and if they want to raise funds, contohnya, which markets to use as well. Okay, sebab dia ada decision lah, nak short term ke, nak long term. Okay, dalam long term tu pun ada banyak jenis. Nak guna bond ke, nak guna stocks, nak guna debt ke, nak guna equity. Contohnya macam tu lah. And finally, not finally, the second last one is dividend policy. As a company, they need to decide how much dividend they will distribute to the shareholders and how much they will retain the profit to the business itself. So this is the business decision that they have to make. Cuma untuk FIN420 ni kita tak go into detail lah dividend policy. Okay, kita tak go into detail. And lastly, risk management. So the final part of this topic, number 1, is the relationship between risk and return. Okay, as a business, obviously they try to generate return as much as possible as part of the goal of a company. Tadi dia nak maximize the shareholders' wealth kan. So obviously dia nak try to get as high return as possible. Tetapi bila kita nak dapatkan high return, kita kena take into consideration the risk factor. Okay, sebab setiap satu decision akan ada risk dia. Okay, so risk is defined as the chance of financial loss or more formally. Financial loss or more formally, the variability of return associated with the given asset. Okay, simple dia macam ni lah. You forecast a certain item. So dalam case ni dia bagi example, dia punya forecast adalah 1 million ringgit of profits next year. So when we talk about risk ni adalah chances that for you to get 1 million tu, is it as close as 1,000 tu you boleh dapat, ataupun there's a possibility you can get less than that. So meaning kat sini, risk factor ni refers to the possibility for the actual outcome berbeza dengan your forecasted amount. So kalau the risk too high, okay, chances untuk you dapat 1 million or less tu is very very low. Okay, maknanya kat sini, bila risk element tu besar, chances of 1 million tu will be small. Mungkin boleh dapat around 600,000 saja contoh. Not even 1 million. It's far from 1 million. Tapi kalau risk factor too low, okay, chances for you to get 1 million tu is very high. As simple as that lah. And the measurement of risk, dekat sini dia letak standard deviation. Tapi selain daripada standard deviation, we can use other measurement as well. Kita ada variance and we also have beta measurement. Okay, but for this course, you don't have to worry about that lah. Okay, so there are 2 types of risk, systematic and unsystematic risk. Okay, I nak simplify je. Systematic risk measure using beta. Selalunya occur outside the company, external factors. Something yang company cannot control, something yang cannot be eliminated, even how good the company manage themselves. Okay, yang benda walaupun kita dah manage semua ni, yang apa yang kita boleh manage internally, tapi kalau risk tu berlaku di luar, so we cannot do anything about it. So what kind of external factors? Macam-macam lah. Government policy, market punya risk, OPR, interest rate ni macam contohnya government, bank negara increase OPR, so dia akan effect kat kita. Sebab kita tak control OPR bank negara yang control kan. So this is all measurement of systematic risk yang tak boleh di-control and happen outside, external. Okay, and usually kita boleh measure ni, kalau kita buat calculation adalah dia punya set of formula and then we get the data. Okay, but again, you don't have to worry about the calculation lah. It's just for you to understand the risk factor lah. Okay, selain daripada systematic, nanti you baca dia punya sub risk, we have the unsystematic risk. Okay, untuk ni measurement ni guna standard deviation tadi and together with variance. And for this, risk ni kita tak boleh eliminate, but we can reduce, we can mitigate. Okay, so if we have a proper control, kita boleh manage lah, sebab usually this risk is come from within, from internal factor. Okay, so example dia kat sini ada business dengan financial risk. So kalau business ni selalunya melibatkan mismanagement, the company cannot manage their own personnel, they cannot manage their own assets properly, yang menyebabkan dia rugi. Okay, what kind of mistakes? Mistake pun boleh. Error in works, clerical errors, what else? Fraud, internal staff buat frauds. All of these lah yang business related, yang sepatutnya boleh di-control by the company. So if the company have a proper control, so semua elemen ni tadi boleh di-reducekan. Tapi adakah boleh di-confirm tak akan ada? Tak boleh lah. That's why dia kata the risk cannot be eliminated, tapi boleh di-reducekan dengan proper control. So macam mana nak mengelakkan staff buat fraud? Adalah control macam mana nak jaga sistem tu. Kena ada more than one person to verify the information so that there's no one person yang boleh buat decision making. Contohnya lah. Right? And for the financial risk, it's all about the decision making related dengan financial tadilah. Okay, so finally, usually you pernah dengar kan the terms the high risk and high return, low risk, low return relationship. So this is in theory how the risk and return punya relationship. They will start off somewhere on top. Dia bukan start dengan zero. Okay, maknanya kat sini there will be some types of investment that you can invest risk free. Okay, maknanya you invest, you akan for sure akan dapat some element of returns. You tak akan dapat rugi lah, you tak akan dapat zero kat sini contohnya. Okay, so in economy ataupun in finance, the risk-free rate punya investment selalunya associate dengan government punya instruments, government punya securities. So government punya securities selalunya akan berada di sini lah, at the lowest point kat sini. Okay, katakanlah 3% kat sini. So if you invest in government securities, you akan dapat a guaranteed return of 3%. Okay, so anything higher risk akan give you risk premium. Ada extended amount of premium of risk yang you boleh tanggung, ya, ataupun you willing to take, but at the same time risk premium ni boleh in return menyebabkan you rugi. Okay, right? Bukan setiap satu jenis investment tu akan sentiasa bagi you return. There's a possibility ataupun the flip side of it that you may suffer losses. Tapi kalau risk free ni tadi, kat this line, you tak akan tanggung rugi lah. You akan dapat a guaranteed return. So anything less than that akan menyebabkan, ataupun anything types of investment selain daripada government securities will give you some element of losses. So kalau you nak letak, I tak ada pen sebenarnya today, I terlupa nak bawa balik. I left it at my office, so I tak boleh tulis. Kalau tak, selalunya during online class macam ni, sambil I cakap, I can jot down some information kat sini. Okay, I can illustrate lah whatever kat sini kan, but I terlupa bawa balik pen tu hari ni. So untuk presentation slide macam ni, memang I cannot show you anything lah. But later on when we do calculations, bear with me lah, I'm gonna use my tab untuk guna. So I'm gonna switch from my PC ni to my tab untuk buat illustration lah. Okay, tapi dia tak semudah kalau semua I do on my writing pad untuk tulis tu. Okay. So back to this one. You just can imagine ataupun you can write on your own lah kat sini. Kalau kat bawah ni tadi adalah government securities. So atas daripada government securities ni naik sikit, you can put it here investment in bonds for example. So akan ada some element of risk premium kat sini. Okay, and you move up lagi, you boleh letak shares or unit trust in the middle. Okay, higher risk but potentially higher returns. And if you move up even further, ke atas ni katakan, you can put investment like derivatives. Okay, derivative akan bagi you potentially higher returns, but at the same time you might be rugi as well. And finally, paling tinggi sekarang, okay, the types of investment yang ada dekat very high end belah kanan ni, you can put there, for example, cryptocurrency. Okay, cryptocurrency is way up there. Very high risk premium, okay, meaning potentially to give you high returns. Okay, I personally pernah, and a colleague of mine pun pernah invest. I invest saja je just to test it myself. Yeah, it gives you quite significant returns. Ada colleague of mine, sebab bila I dah experience, I beritahu my colleague, and masa dia join tu, the price masa tu memang tengah naik. Dia boleh generate around about 50% in 1 month. Dalam sebulan je dia punya return tu dah 50% daripada capital. Katakanlah imagine capital dia RM1,000. So selepas sebulan dia dah generate RM500. So maknanya dia punya total fund now daripada 1,000 naik ke 1,500 dalam masa sebulan. So 50%. So 50% tu kalau you annualize kan dia, kalau simple annualize you darab je 12, dah berapa ratus persen setahun. And in comparison, you ambil ASB, return dia 4-5% setahun. Ni 50% sebulan. Contohlah. But because of the fluctuations, the price tu hari ni boleh 1,000, esok boleh jadi 800, 700. So that's the risk that you need to take lah. You jangan tengok bila cerita pasal high risk, high return ni, you look when the price goes up je. There's a possibility that the price will go down juga, that costs your money to be lower than your capital. Okay, so that's the relationship lah between risk and return when we talk about investment. So with that, I end topic number 1. Ada soalan ke? Kalau tak ada soalan, let's take a break before we move on to topic number 2. Okay, topic number 2 akan ada some calculation but later on lah. But let's take a break lah. Kita restart, let's say at 5:30 macam tu lah, 5:30ish macam tu All right, let's continue with the second topic. Okay, so for this topic, topic number 2, okay, so we have 3 subtopics, which is the balance sheet, the income statement, and also the cash flow statement. So the first 2 topics too, you don't have to worry anything else about. It's just the source of information that we're going to use. Okay, cuma for the cash flow statement yang number 3 tu, we have to learn how to do it. Okay, so kita kena buat manually lah ourselves, right? But anyway, we go one by one. So financial statement represent a raw material for financial analysis. As I mentioned, the distinction between accounting and finance. Accounting prepare the financial statements, and this financial statement akan jadi kita punya material lah for our analysis. So for the finance part, kita akan do a lot more analysis as compared to preparing a statement. Among the key financial statements includes the balance sheets, right? Ataupun sekarang kebanyakan kalinya we're going to use the terms the statement of financial position. Okay, and this statement will give a snapshot of the company. So what does it mean by snapshot? We'll give you a brief overview how the performance ataupun how the stand of the company from the financial perspective. Sebab dalam balance sheet ni, you're going to see three main things. Kita ada assets, and we have liabilities, and we have equity. Okay, so by looking at these 3 elements saja, kita dah boleh nampak lah secara kasar how the performance of the company. Okay, but we don't see the true details yet lah. So if you want to go into details, kita kena go through every sections of the element. Okay. Next part is the income statement, ataupun sometimes it's known as P&L, profit and loss account, right? So this income statement explains the movement between 2 years of balance sheets, okay, pergerakan items in the balance sheets in terms of the profit. So kita akan tengok the top part would be the revenues, okay, all the inflows, and then we're going to deduct all the expenses. Okay, kita akan tolak semua expenses to see whether the company makes profit or losses. Okay, and the third statement is the cash flow statements. And similar like income statement, dia akan explain the movement between 2 balance sheet as well, but the focus is more on the cash movements, hanya pergerakan cash sahaja. And this is the one that we're going to prepare later on. Okay, kejap lagi. Okay, so let's go the first one to see the balance sheet items. So the first balance sheet shows the financial position. Okay, this is the current names that being used widely dalam annual reports. Kalau you go through annual reports dalam Malaysia ni, company akan menggunakan the term statement of financial position. So dia tak guna perkataan balance sheet ni anymore. Okay, so they use the term statement of financial positions, and this statement financial position akan menunjukkan the position of the company at one point of time, and it usually will be on the last day of the financial year end. Okay, so financial year end of a company ni berbeza lah from one company to another. Ada yang memang end dia 31st of December. Some company might ends on the 31st of March, for example. Ada yang maybe 30th of June, 30th of September, whatever. Right? But anyhow, the report itself will represent a one financial year punya performance. Okay, so dia akan display 1 year punya performance lah kat dalam tu. And it will summarize the firm's resources in the form of assets, and it will be balanced against liabilities and equity. Okay, liability tu menunjukkan hutang, debt, and equity represents ownership. So you can simplify the relationship using this equation. Okay, equation dia assets whereby represented by the items or the properties that they have as a company, and it will be balanced out against, like I said tadi lah, liability to debt tadi, hutang, how the assets being funded by debt or by the ownership, which is the equity, right? So whatever amount that the company have in terms of the assets, okay, mesti akan balance by these two sides lah, liability dengan equity. So kalau the assets ni jumlah dia 1 million for example, liabilities plus equity must equals 1 million as well. Okay, semua items ni must be represented either by liabilities or by equity. Okay, and again as I mentioned banyak kali tadi, you don't have to worry macam mana nak balance kan between the two asset, liability, equity ni kalau kena buat statement kan. Itu you kena risau bila you buat paper accounting. Okay, kalau tak tahu you dah ambil ke belum accounting, if you are taking now or dah ambil sebelum ni, that's where you have to focus on how to ensure the accounting side kena balance. So this is the generic format. Generic format kalau dalam dulu exam, final, dalam test, the balance sheet will be represented in this format. Okay, ada assets on the left hand side and the liabilities and equities on the right hand side. So kalau you perasan dia bentuk dia, dulu kita bagi dia macam T account. So macam T sebab ada tengah ni line ni, and line on top horizontally and then one vertical line in the middle. So this is like a T account. Okay, and still being used in exams. Okay, simply because dia save space. Okay, kalau nak guna format yang diguna pakai in actual, dia akan makan space sikit lah, tapi untuk exam selalunya dia nak jimatkan space kan, so they still use this format lah. But still dia akan differentiatekan between assets and liabilities and equities on different side. So asset kat sini dia bagi example, it starts off with the current ones, current assets kat atas ni, and then they have fixed asset ataupun non-current assets at the bottom. Okay, apa beza current and fixed? Current assets is simply the types of asset that can be converted to cash much faster. Senang ni nak convert the current assets into cash, and usually you can convert it within 1 year. Okay, anything yang cepat, liquid, dia akan ada dekat atas ni lah, current assets. So anything else yang bukan dalam kategori of this, dia akan masuk dalam fixed asset. Okay, fixed asset ni sometimes is also known as the non-current assets. Assets yang tidak liquid, it will take a longer time to acquire. Nak acquire asset ni pun lama. Sometimes you have to borrow money untuk acquire, nak beli more than 1 year. And if you want to liquidate, dia akan makan masa lah. It will take some time for you to liquidate. Okay. And the next part yang belah kanan tu adalah liabilities and equity. So some assets, dia akan start dengan current ones on top. So current liabilities ni bermaksud liabilities yang perlu dibayar balik dalam masa setahun. Okay. Anything that due within 1 year lah. So anything due more than 1 year, dia akan masuk dalam long term. Okay, dia akan masuk dalam long term. And finally here, dia ada equity. Okay, ada common stock, preferred and also retaining. Okay, quickly, lupa nak mention setiap satu ni yang mana yang very obvious tu you understand lah, but I just want to highlight a few things. Untuk current assets, for example, for marketable securities ni, okay, you can associate these marketable securities dengan short term investment jangka pendek investment jangka pendek, whereby you invest usually in the money market for government securities contohnya. Okay, that's marketable securities. Right. Next is account receivable. Account receivable bermaksud you do sales, okay, your company do sales, however your client, your customer does not pay it back. Dia belum bayar lagi. They just ambil barang ataupun use your services, however they haven't paid for the services or products yet. So amount yang you dah jual tu akan masuk dalam account receivable. So once the customer make payments, so amount yang payment tu akan masuk dalam cash, which is part of current assets as well. Okay, so cash ni boleh dalam bentuk cash in hand ataupun cash dekat bank lah. Okay, so selagi dia belum masuk ataupun belum dibayar oleh customer, dia akan masuk dalam account receivable. So account receivable ni selalunya dia akan recover balik the cash within 1 year lah. Okay, inventories to stocks. For prepaid expenses, this is the types of services contohnya, ataupun anything, goods pun boleh, whereby you paid it upfront, okay, but you don't use it yet. Okay, for example, rental. Okay, you rent office building, office premise. Okay, sepatutnya you bayar on monthly basis. However, as a company, you decided to pay every year, one shot, because you may get discount, for example lah. Okay, so sepatutnya you kena bayar rental 1,500 setiap bulan, but the landlord kata if you pay for 1 year, I'll give you rent 1,000 per month. So you pay 12,000 straight, for example. So 12,000 tu kalau you bayar, dia akan masuk kat dalam prepaid expenses. It will be part of your assets. Sebab sekarang baru bulan 3 contohnya. Sudah 3 bulan, so 3,000. So you have 9,000 left. So 9,000 is your prepaid expenses. Contohnya. Right. Untuk liabilities, account payable dia opposite of account receivable. Account payable means you dah ambil barang from your supplier, but you don't pay it yet. Sama macam receivable tadi. Receivable, your customer yang tak bayar lagi. But for account payable, you are the one who take goods from your suppliers. However, you ada masa 3 bulan lagi untuk bayar. So whatever amount yang due in account payable, you letak kat dalam ni. Okay, for notes payable refers to short-term loans. Okay, you borrow money from the banks for 3 months or 6 months, for example. So you akan letak di dalam notes payable. And finally here is accruals. Accruals ni ataupun dia punya long terms dia adalah accrued expenses. So kalau tadi kita ada prepaid expenses yang kita dah bayar upfront. So accrued expenses bermaksud you dah guna servis tu tapi you tak bayar lagi. Okay, so ingat dalam liability ni semua tanggungan, semua hutang. So accrued expenses bermaksud hutang lah. You, again kalau you guna rental as an example, sekarang dah bulan March, okay, dah end of March pun, okay, tapi daripada awal tahun sampai sekarang you tak bayar lagi rental untuk shop lot you. Okay, so you dah hutang 3 bulan. So 3 bulan dah 1,000, 3,000. So 3,000 akan masuk kat dalam accruals-nya. Okay, so that's accrued ataupun accruals. Okay, yang lain ni faham lah long term debt ni adalah hutang jangka panjang. Anything more than 1 year akan masuk kat dalam ni. So anything related dengan bonds ke, kalau mortgage ke, term loans from the bank ke, so semua masuk dalam ni lah. So the details for each section ni, you boleh refer nantilah kat dalam notes yang ada kat belakang. So ni contoh je, the actual statement of financial position ataupun balance sheet. Kalau tadi dia T account kan, here dia more like a vertical format. Asset dekat atas, liabilities and equity dekat bawah. Okay, dia bukan side by side, dia vertical lah. Okay, instead of horizontal. Okay, so this is the explanation kalau you nak baca. Ada explain tadi the current assets, apa kegunaan dia, contoh-contoh dia. Right. Non-current asset ataupun fixed asset pun ada kat sini. And cuma satu lagi, fixed asset ni usually dia akan states either at gross value ataupun book value lah. So the net value is based on gross minus depreciation. But some of the assets are subject to depreciation. Okay, especially melibatkan machineries lah. Machineries, motor vehicles ni semua akan susut nilai. So therefore, the net value, kita akan tolakkan the gross minus with the accumulated depreciation. Okay, and then the liabilities pun ada explanation kat belakang ni. Nanti you go back to read this. Okay, and finally the equity. So the second statement is income statement ataupun profit and loss tadi, P&L. So in short, it will report the inflows in the form of revenues and any other income together with all other relevant expenses, okay, incurred throughout the year, and at the end, you just want to see whether the company make profits ataupun losses, okay, after subtracting the expenses from the revenues generated throughout the year. Okay, so these are the variables yang ada dalam an income statement. Dia akan start usually on top the sales ataupun revenue. So selalunya kalau company tu involved with services, dia guna terms revenue lah. Okay, kalau some company yang involved dengan sales of goods, dia akan letak sales kat situ. Okay, but some company dia interchange je dia orang punya terms yang dia orang guna lah. Right, so sales revenue dia akan letak kat situ, tak kira lah dia cash ataupun credit, dia akan put everything there, and then they will minus ataupun dia deduct the cost of goods sold, which is cost to produce the goods and services. Okay, next dia akan deduct all the operating expenses, okay, termasuklah marketing cost, administration cost, salaries of the employees, utility bills, rental, everything, semua akan ditolak kat dalam ni, dalam operating expenses. Okay, and then next they're gonna deduct any interest cost ataupun financing cost. So kalau dia ada meminjam di mana-mana, akan ada cost untuk financing, they have to pay, dia akan deduct the interest cost as well kat sini. Okay, and finally they have to pay the tax. Okay, so lepas tolak interest, they're gonna pay the tax expenses and payable to the government, and at the end barulah dia akan tahu sama ada dia akan dapat profit or losses. Okay, as I mentioned tadi lah. So this is the format of an income statement. Okay, start with the revenue minus cost of goods sold, dia akan dapat the first level profit of gross profit, and then they minus operating expenses together with depreciation to get the operating profit. Ataupun sometimes they call it the earning before interest and taxes, and then minus the interest, okay, to get the earning before taxes, and from the earning before taxes, EBT ni, minus the tax that they have to pay to the government, then they're gonna get the net income lah, ataupun losses kalau dia negatif kat situ. Right, and this net income will be distributed to the shareholders in the form of dividend. So dibayar dividend kepada preferred and common stockholders. Selepas dah buat payment of dividends, the balance akan masuk dalam retained earnings. Okay, so retained earning ni like I said, dia akan accumulate every year. So dalam balance sheet dia akan appear accumulated amount. Kalau kat sini dia akan represent the retained earning for that particular year. So this retained earning tahun ni, semasa ni, dia akan appear dekat balance sheet tahun semasa lah. Termasuk accumulated, bercampur daripada retained earning tahun-tahun sebelumnya. Okay, so this is the example of income statement for the same company macam tadi lah. So dia akan start with the revenue, blah blah blah. Cuma company ni loss. Okay, loss. And then dia ada jugalah shareholders punya dividends. Cuma dia loss kat sini lah. Right, so the most important part for today, bukanlah yang tadi tu tak penting but dari segi the format untuk apa, do calculation. So this is our first calculation for the cost, whereby we have to know how to calculate atau how to prepare the cash flow statement. So kalau you recall tadi, cash flow statement adalah the movement of the balance sheet items with regards to the cash movements. Okay, kita nak tengok movement of cash sahaja. So this cash flow statements akan summarizekan the inflows and outflows of cash transactions for the year. And we're going to reconcile all the cash transactions, and the cash might be changed due to the changes of the balance sheet items. Okay, ingat tadi dalam balance sheet item ada asset, liability and equity kan. So we are going to find the changes. Okay, changes, and then kita akan labelkan the changes tu sama ada dia ada jadi the source of the funds to the dari segi cashnya kepada company ataupun is going to be users. Okay, so the cash in cash flow statement must be balanced dengan cash dalam balance sheet lah. So dalam balance sheet tu ada amount. So bila kita buat cash flow statement, dia mesti tally. Okay, must be tally. Okay, I'll show you afterwards what does it mean by tally ya. Dia mesti equal. So dari segi statement formatnya, dia ada 3 categories. Alright, the first one is called operating activities. So dalam operating activities, dia ada 3 parts kat sini. The first one, net income akan masuk dalam ni. So our format, dia akan starts with net income, followed by depreciation. Okay, and then the third part dalam operating will be working capital. Maknanya current asset dengan current liabilities punya item. Okay, dari segi changesnya. Kecuali with some exception, cash tak masuk. Short term investment, okay, ingat tadi kalau short term investment ni relates dengan marketable securities, tak masuk. And and notes payable. Notes payable ni ada dalam current liabilities. Short term ni tadi dalam current assets, notes payable dalam current liabilities. Okay, so these 3 items tak masuk dalam operating. Cash memang tak masuk langsung dalam operating activities, but these two, short term investment and notes payable, dia tak masuk operating. However, we're going to put these two dalam financing activities. Okay, so that's why dalam financing activities, you nampak changes in short term investment dengan notes payable ada dekat dalam ni. Okay, together with equity punya changes and also long term debt together with dividends. Okay, ni untuk financing lah. And for the second one, investing activities, kita hanya tengok satu benda je, changes in fixed assets. Okay, changes in fixed asset akan masuk ke dalam ni. Okay, so this is from the format perspective. So how to label them? Okay, kita kena classify dulu. Okay, so when we look at cash flow statement punya question, selalunya what happen, they will give you a 2 years punya balance sheet. Okay, bear with me je. I show you like this. This is an example yang ada dalam notes. Typically they will give you like this. Akan bagi you 2 tahun punya balance sheet. Okay, yang complete lah, ada total asset, liabilities, equity kat sini 2 tahun. And then dia akan bagi you income statement. Income statement ni dia boleh bagi you 2 tahun, or usually kita hanya pakai sebenarnya income statement tahun semasa sahaja, the current one. Right, the one that concern us is actually just the current one untuk income statement. Tapi untuk balance sheet we need both years. Right, so how to classify? Soalan you dah bagi you 2 years of balance sheet and 1 year of income statement, contohnya. So what you need to do is to classify each and every items according to this category tadi. So I recap balik, for operating ada net income, ada depreciation, and every items dalam current asset, current liabilities kecuali these 3, cash, short term investment dengan notes payable. Short term investment dengan notes payable sebenarnya ada dalam financing activities. Fixed asset yang dalam asset tu masuk dalam investing. And the rest on the right, long term debts and equity masuk dalam financing together with dividend. Okay, itu saja. So how to label? We need to find the changes. Okay, the keyword tadi changes ni bukan tak ada, changes. Semua ada changes ni, changes. So what does it mean by changes? We need to differentiate. Sebab kita ada 2 tahun ni, tahun semasa dengan tahun lepas contohnya. So kita kena differentiate, kita kena tolak these 2 items to see whether they increase ataupun decrease. So to see decrease ataupun increase, we need to subtract the current year ataupun the latest year with the previous year. Okay, tahun yang terkini tolak dengan tahun yang sebelumnya to see whether it's increase or decrease. So kalau you tolak tu positif, dapat positive amount, so maknanya dia bertambah lah daripada tahun lepas. So kalau dia decrease, dia menurun lah. Ataupun bila you dapat minus, it shows it a decrease. Cuma when we want to classify ataupun label, sama ada increase ataupun decrease, treatment dia towards assets ataupun liabilities and equity berbeza. Okay, so let's say kita focus on asset first. When the asset to decrease, like this, decrease maknanya menurun daripada tahun semasa, daripada tahun semasa dengan tahun lepas, dia decrease, kita akan label them as sources. Okay, ataupun short nanti akan letak label as sources. So if that's the case, sources, treatment dia bila kita buat cash flow statement kejap lagi, kita akan tambah benda tu. We will add that amount. right? Bila dia decrease in assets. However, if it's an increase, maknanya dia bertambah daripada tahun lepas ke tahun semasa, okay, asset tu kita akan letak dia sebagai users and kita akan treat dia as a minus. Kita akan tolak. Okay, agak confusing kat sini, but anyway, tak apa, kejap lagi bila kita buat with the example, maybe you can see it better. Okay, I recap balik bila dia decrease in assets, kita akan add, kita akan treat dia as a sources, and tapi kalau dia increase in assets, kita akan tolak. Okay, kita akan tolak benda tu. Simple example maybe macam ni lah. Kenapa asset tu increase tapi dia users and minus? Contoh, paling simple is fixed asset. Okay, sekarang company tu ada kosong fixed asset kosong. Tapi tahun depan ataupun tahun lepas kosong, tahun ni dia beli new motor vehicle RM100,000. So daripada kosong, tahun ni RM100,000. So bila kita buat kita punya classification, kita ambil RM100,000 minus zero, kita ada positive RM100,000. So ada increase of RM100,000. So what does it mean? Bila increase RM100,000, kita gunakan fund. We have to use fund untuk beli new motor vehicle. So bila kita guna fund, so kita kena minus lah daripada kita punya cash. Kita punya ni lah illustration yang macam tu. So that's why bila kita increase in assets, kita kena tolak kita punya funds. Okay, so terbalik pula dengan liability dengan equity. Bila dia increase in liability and equity, kita akan add the value, which why kita consider dia sebagai sources. And kalau dia decrease in liability and equity, kita akan tolak, we will minus it. Okay, so that's the changes yang kita kena aware. Tak apa, kalau kita tak ingat, kita akan go through again kejap lagi with an example. Ada 4 item lain ni. 4 item ni fix, dia tak tengok changes. Dia akan fix dekat situ. So pertama, net profit. Net profit akan berada di sources. And when dia berada di sources, kita akan add. And also depreciation. And any other non-cash expenditure akan berada di sources as well. So sentiasa akan add kat sini. Right? And untuk users, kita ada 2, net loss. So kalau dia tak profit, dia akan rugi kan. So kalau dia profit, dia dekat sources. Tapi kalau dia rugi, dia akan minus. Okay, this is common sense lah. Kalau profit, amount dia memang positif. Tapi kalau dia rugi, memang amount dia negatif anyway. So that's why dia ada dekat users. And in terms of dividend, sebab dividend ni kita kena bayar to shareholders. So dividend will be minus as well. Okay, so yang 4 items ni adalah fix. Dia tak perlu tengok changes. Okay, kita akan pick up selalunya all 4 ni kita boleh tengok dekat dalam income statement. So yang 4 atas ni is all from the balance sheet. The 4 bottoms ni kita ambil daripada income statement. Okay, kita ambil yang macam cakap tadi income statement selalunya kita ambil yang terbaru saja. And from there we can determine okay, what is the net profit of the year ataupun losses of the year, what will be the depreciation charges, and what will be the dividend payments. Okay, semua tu kita boleh dapat directly from the income statement. Cuma kalau tak diberi in the income statement, we need to do some calculations. Okay, depreciation ni kita boleh cari alternatively dalam balance sheets. Dividend payment pun sama. Okay, dividend payment pun kita boleh cari from the combination of income statement and the balance sheets. Right, so once you dah classify everything, what you need to do is to transfer this information dalam this format. Macam cakap tadi, macam dengar macam ada soalan regarding asset liability, do we need I have 2 device kat sini so bila I tengok tepi ni sebenarnya I tengok my iPad. Regarding asset liability, do we need to calculate changes in current or both non-current as well? Both, semua item dalam balance sheet tu sebenarnya kita kena cari the changes. Cuma kat mana nak letak? Some parts of item dalam current asset, current liabilities memang dalam operating. Yang fixed asset tu sebenarnya ada dalam investing activities. Okay, and equity dengan liability, long term liability tu sebenarnya ada dalam financing activities. So technically sebenarnya you need to calculate for all. Cuma where to put it, nanti kejap lagi I explain. Okay, sebenarnya ada dalam table ni lah yang I tengah tunjuk ni. Okay, so you're gonna see it. Benda ni sebenarnya mengacau I hide. Okay, yeah. So this is the template, this is the format. Once you dah classify tadi, what we need to do is basically transfer lah everything inside this format. Okay, cuma first step yang pertama tadi is the classification tu kena clear sebab you salah classify, salah lah the format and at the end bila you summarize kat bawah ni, you should get the answer tu tally balik. That's why tadi kan dia kata the net change in cash ni kena tally balik dengan cash yang dalam balance sheet sebab dekat summary ni, especially the two items at the bottom ni, cash at the beginning dengan cash at the ending of the year ni, sebenarnya item 2 ni adalah daripada balance sheets. Item daripada balance sheets. Okay, tanpa perlu kita kira, benda tu kita boleh ambil direct from the balance sheets. Right. So dalam notes ni ada example. Okay, with the steps. Okay, ni soalan dia bagi balance sheet and also the income statement. Like I said, income statement ni walaupun dia bagi 2 tahun, you ambil yang terkini saja, which is dalam case ni 2004 lah. Okay. And dia bagi you solutions how to do it. Okay, I tak nak go through detail kat sini sebab you boleh go through later. I akan bagi one example question and kita akan buat gunakan example tu, tapi before we go to the example, I just go through apa kena buat. So first step, bila you dapat soalan with regards to cash flow statements, go to your balance sheets, tengok balance sheet punya soalan tu, you subtract je between the two. Ingat subtract yang mana dengan mana, take the latest one minus the previous one. So dalam kes ni yang paling baru 2004 minus the previous year. Okay, pada kes ni contohnya cash ni tak payahlah, kita exclude the cash, kita akan start dengan marketable securities. So 0 minus 65,000, then you get a negative 65,000. So you go through everything, every single kecuali yang total. Total ni tak payahlah, total current asset ni you don't have to calculate, and total asset ni contohnya you don't have to calculate as well. Just for each item saja yang detail. Inventories 615 minus 415 dapat 200,000. Okay. Net fixed asset pun kena kira 1 million minus 870 dapat 130,000. Okay. That's assets. Liabilities pun sama. You go through every single thing. Okay, 60 minus 30, 110 minus 60, 140 minus 130, and then long-term debt and common stocks. Okay, returning tak perlu. Okay, ni dia tulis subtract everything and you need to transfer this except cash and return earning. So cash atas sekali tak perlu kira, return earning for this time pun tak perlu kira lagi lah for time being. Okay, so macam saya cakap tadi dalam table ni, anything yang you label as sources you kena tambah, users you kena minus. Okay, rule dia tadi, okay, kalau assets if it's increase macam ni, dia increase kan, dia decrease dalam ni, dia decrease dari 0 to 65, daripada 65 to 0, balik benda ni dia letak apa, dari 2003 65,000 and then dia zero rise, maknanya dia turun daripada 60,000 ke kosong kan. So bila dia decrease in assets, dia adalah sources. Okay, tengok balik ni bila dia decrease in asset, dia adalah sources. So when it's sources, you akan add. Okay, this walaupun dia negatif kat sini, jangan confusion, negatif ni bukan maksud dia negatif, dia hanya menurun, dia decrease. So bila dia decrease, kita akan add dia sebab dia dalam kategori of assets. Okay, so untuk account receivable contohnya, dia decrease by 60,000. Sorry, dia increase by 60,000, 315 naik to 375, dia increase 60,000. So dia adalah users. Users. So bila you akan minus benda tu. And so on untuk asset side, dia reverse, dia inverse. Mana yang turun dia add, mana yang naik dia minus. Tapi untuk liabilities and equity, dia direct. So contohnya bila dia naik macam ni, dari 30 naik ke 60, dia add 30,000 ataupun increase 30,000, kita add. So dalam case ni semua add lah sebab dia semua positif kan. So kalau ada negative values kat sini, contohnya maknanya dia menurun, we gonna minus. Okay, so liability and equity quite straightforward lah sebab dia directly. Kalau dia naik, kita add. Kalau dia turun, dia minus. But for assets, dia terbalik. So ingat macam tu lah. Asset, they will be inverse relationship. So kalau dia decrease, kat situlah you add. Kalau dia naik, kat situlah baru you minus. Okay. Right. So bila dah clear the classification yang you nak add ataupun minus tu, then baru kita transfer to the statement. Cuma ingatlah, Walaupun kita buat in sequence daripada cash sampai ke bawah, cash memang tak masuk. Kalau you ingat tadi, marketable securities will be the first item kat dalam balance sheet ni, but marketable securities kita kena exclude daripada operating sebab dia adalah financing. Okay, adalah financing. Together with the notes payable, itu adalah financing. Okay. Dalam untuk income statement, the one yang you nak tengok hanya 3 benda saja. The net income, you akan tengok net income. Yang terkini terkini. You need to know the dividend. Okay, dividend and also depreciation. Okay. Ingat tadi, dividend adalah uses sebab kita kena bayar dividend. So therefore kita akan minus the dividend amount. 6140 ni kita akan minus. And depreciation kita akan add. So that's it. Itu je. Dalam income statement, 3 item ni saja you kena identify. Once you have this information, transfer lah semua tu ke dalam cash flow. Okay, so operating activities always start with net income ataupun net loss depending on the performance of the company. So kalau dia profit, net income lah ataupun net profit So 117480 datang daripada sini tadi, daripada net income dia. 1187,480 together with the depreciation. Depreciation 100,000. Okay, so dua ni memang fix kan macam cakap tadi, from the classification punya table, these two memang you kena start with this 117480 dengan 100,000 kat sini. So selepas daripada tu, we follow the sequence of this. Tengok je daripada sini. Okay, I recap. Cash tak perlu masuk sebab we are doing cash anyway. Marketable securities bukan operating. This would be financing. So next, selepas depreciation tadi, kita start dengan account receivable. Account receivable berapa amount dia? 60,000 and minus. So I akan letak 60,000 ni dalam bracket. 60,000 ni dalam bracket. Okay, and then follow lah sequence dalam asset tadi, current asset, dalam current asset, lepas account receivable, inventories pun minus 200,000. Dah habis current asset, pergi current liabilities. Account payable plus 30,000, accruals plus 10,000. So kalau you tak nak letak increase ni pun tak apa, you just letak item je saja. Account receivable, inventories, dengan syarat ni betul lah labeling positif dengan negatif ni ataupun add dengan minus ni. So once you complete all the information yang ada untuk operating, what you need to do, you kena campur je lah semua ni. You add everything. So mana yang minus ni, you minus lah. Positive you add, negative you minus. So when you combine ataupun you sum everything, you're going to get the net cash in operating activities. Dalam case ni is a negative 2520. Okay, negative 2520 kat sini. For the second section is investing. Untuk investing, satu saja, which is from the fixed assets. Remember, dalam kita punya current asset ni tadi kita dah buat semua kecuali marketable. Cuma marketable ni akan kita buat dalam financing later. So next adalah fixed asset lah. So fixed asset, bila kita ambil, dalam case ni dia guna net. Kataan net fixed asset of difference dia ada 30,000 yang dia minus so kita akan tolak dia lah kejap lagi. Cuma bila nak cari fixed asset dalam investing activities, the terms kita guna adalah perkataan capital expenditure. So bergantung kepada information that you have, sama ada soalan bagi you net ataupun gross. So dalam example ni dia guna net. So bila you dapat net, you kena tambah dengan depreciation. Okay, tapi kalaulah soalan tu dah bagi you gross, you just need to minus the gross. But kalau you ingat tadi, net tu sebenarnya is gross tolak dengan depreciation. So dalam case ni, you have to add the depreciation in your value kat sini. So based on our calculation tadi, it's 130,000. Okay, 130,000. So from this 130,000, you add with 100,000, you become the 230,000 kat sini. Okay, 230,000 will be the net capital expenditure lah. So it's a minus. So you letaklah bracket kat situ. And finally is the financing. So yang kita skip dekat atas tadi, kita ada Marketable securities 65,000, notes payable 50,000 kita letak, and then we have long term debt. Okay, this one semua kita dah buat, notes payable pun dah letak, so tinggal dengan long term debt yang terakhir. Sebab common stock tak ada perbezaan, zero changes, so we left with long term debts. So letak long term debt of 164,000 kat sini, and don't forget the dividend. Sebab kita dah ada depreciation kat atas, jangan lupa dividend to counter. So dividend is 61,480. So we get a total of 227,520. So this is positive. So you ambil net cash by operating minus, sebab dia minus 230,000 and minus 2520, you get a minus 5,000. Okay, so mana dapat 5,000 ni must be based on these three items total And to compare ataupun to check whether you calculate correctly or not, this 5,000 mesti equivalent dengan the difference between the two ni. So cash beginning at the year 15, cash ending is 10,000. This 15 and 10,000 sebenarnya amount daripada the balance sheet kat sini. Okay, dia punya beginning adalah 15,000. At the end, go to 10,000 ringgit. So they short ataupun they decrease by 5,000. So that 5,000 tally dengan this 5,000. Yang you add these three items tadi. So kalau you add these three items tak dapat 5,000, kan? So meaning something wrong somewhere dekat dalam ni lah. Adalah items yang you salah kira. So selalunya what you need to do, check the depreciation amount, check the dividend amount. Dua ni can be contributing to the menyebabkan benda ni tak tally ya. Okay, so that's how we do the cash flow statements. Okay, lama juga saya cakap benda ni Bear with me. Kalau tak sempat nanti you try yourself I'm going to share with you now is a question. Okay, so soalan ni soalan lama 2006, but we don't have any funny questions anyway. Of a company, Maju Jaya Berhad, so they bagi you 2 years of balance sheet. I will share with you this one dalam future nanti. Okay, sekarang ni tengok dulu. They give you 2 years of balance sheets. Okay, complete set. And they give you 1 year of income statement, the current one. Okay, soalan ni suruh buat macam-macam lah, tapi kita fokus on yang B tu. Dia suruh prepare statement of cash flows for 2005. Okay, so once you see this kind of questions, okay, first things first, what you need to do, macam tadi lah, what you need to do, yang pertama adalah to find the differences of all items kecuali tadilah cash tak perlu kira and also retain earning tak perlu kira. Okay, so dalam case ni we will start with marketable securities lah. So okay, note dia punya tahun ni kedudukan tahun ni dengan tahun dalam soalan tadi tak sama Dalam case ni dia letak 2000 yang terkini dekat kanan and the 2004 before that lah on the left. Kalau yang soalan tadi dia reverse. So don't get confused. Always remember yang terkini ni X1 always akan tolak yang lama X0. Alright, so maknanya 20,000 minus with 48,600, you're gonna get a negative 28,600. Okay, so kira lah semua account receivable 632,160 minus 3551. I dah kira tadi, so I have the answer. Tulis je lah jawapan dia kat sini 280,960. And for inventories, it's 572. 160. Okay, total current asset tak perlu kira. Remember tadi untuk fixed asset, they have two options, either use gross ataupun fixed kan. Since soalan ni ada gross, kita guna gross 1202950 ni minus with 491. So the answer berapa ni tadi? 711 950. Tu untuk gross gross. This is for capital expenditure dalam investment activities. Okay, itu saja. Depreciation boleh kira jugalah kalau nak Accumulated depreciation 263160 minus 1462 would be 116 960. Okay, so from this kita dah boleh label lah. Kita boleh classify. Ingat untuk assets dia terbalik. Whenever dia minus macam ni dalam bracket, it shows dia decrease. Bila decrease, kan dia decrease kan? Decrease in asset, dia adalah dia akan jadi terbalik lah. Kita akan label dia sebagai sources. The sources kita akan plus. So yang lain ni adalah users. Ni semua adalah users. Tapi depreciation adalah sources lah. Depreciation always dekat sources. Okay, tak kira dia positif. Kalau dia tengok positif negatif, jangan risau. Depreciation always sources. Right. So bila source kat sini, tahulah this is plus, this is minus, and so on lah. Tak muat lah. So untuk liabilities and equities, account payable, bila you minus, you're gonna get 178,400. So yang ni straightforward lah. Bila dia source, sebab dia positif source, dia akan plus lah. So ni 520. And then for accruals 148, 148, 960. Okay, you just minus it. And then long-term debts daripada 1 million turun to 223. From 323 naik to 1,000. 1 million. They increase by 676, 568. So this is all sources. But semua positif Semua sources. So semua sources semua you tambah, you add. Right, common stock macam tadi tak ada beza, so we don't have to include. Retained earning we don't have to calculate by now. Okay, biar je dulu. Right. Next page adalah the income statement. Okay, income statement setahun, we need to know the losses. Dalam case ni dia loss so losses dia akan minus lah nanti. Bila kita punya operating tu, kita akan start dengan net losses. So it's a minus 95. We need to know depreciation. Depreciation dia 116,960 and it is tally with this one. Tally kan 116,960. So kita akan add that amount. So the one yang tak ada adalah dividend. So dalam ni tak ada dividend. There's no dividend here. Dividend tu selalunya berada di sini sepatutnya. Lepas dia dapat profit, dia akan bayar dividend lah. Okay, but in this case dia tak bagi. So kalau dia tak bagi, you have to find it. Okay, untuk soalan cash flow, you have to find dividend. So if it's not given, if not given, okay, if the dividend not given, selalunya ada kat sini. Macam soalan tadi kan dia bagi. So if it's not given in the income statement, kita kena guna formula untuk cari. So to find the dividend, formula dia adalah net profit ataupun loss, okay, minus with retained earning terkini, RE1, which is the current year's retained earning, minus with retained earning from the previous year. So this is the formula to find a dividend. So dalam case ni, the net profit ataupun the net loss is 95136. 95136. And you need to find the difference of these two retained earning. Walaupun kita tak calculate tadi 97632 and we minus with 203 768. Okay, this one and this one. Tolak. And when you minus these two, you akan dapat 11,000 ringgit. And this 11,000, ingat dividen tadi adalah minus. So we're gonna minus this dalam kita punya financing activities. So once you dah ada all information, the changes you dah buat, the item kat sini, net income, net loss dah ada, depreciation dah ada, and dividend dah ada, then you can translate this in your cash flow lah. Okay, in your cash flow. Okay, so I show you again kalau siapa nak tengok balik, nampak ni. So this is the changes together with dividend. Alright, and this is the information. Two information yang I tick tu yang kena ada untuk dalam kita punya cash flow. So once you have this, all of this, what you need to do next is to prepare your cash flow lah. So sepatutnya as a format, you akan start lah nama company tu tadi, Maju Berhad kan. Then you letaklah nama dia cash flow statement for the year. Tadi berapa kan 2005 ke 2005. Tengok soalan. Okay, you will start with operating activities, just like the one dalam you punya dalam you punya template tadi ataupun format dia. Always start with net profit. Cuma dalam case ni dia net loss kan. Net losses. So net losses dia tadi berapa? 95136 Okay, 95136. Then you add with depreciation. Depreciation dia 116 960. Okay, so once you have these two, look dalam you punya differences tadi and write one by one according to the section lah. So makna tadi first ada marketable securities, kita tak masuk, but we have account receivable. Account receivable 280 960 juga. Then we have inventories. Okay, account receivable tadi minus Okay, account receivable tadi kita define dia sebagai minus. Okay, sini. Okay, account receivable 28960 tu U letak user, which is minus. Inventories pun sama. 572 160 pun minus. And then account payable 178 400. So this is plus, we add. And then kita ada accruals. Accruals 148 960 pun plus. Ada lagi? I think that's about it. Itu sahaja. Then you add everything. So dalam case ni, bila you add, you dapat negative 503,936. So untuk operating, kita letaklah sini net cash. In operating activities. Okay, 503,936. So second category adalah investing tadi kan, investing. So investing activities hanya ada satu je, which is net capital expenditure, net capex. And this net capex is from your gross fixed assets, the changes of gross fixed asset. So gross fixed asset changes tadi is 711. 950. Kan? 711,950. So again, it's a negative kat sini. Satu saja. And finally, financing. So financing activities will be the last one. So this is the second one. The one yang kita skip tadi ada marketable securities. So marketable securities was 28,600. And this one we add. And then kita ada notes payable. Notes payable was 520,000. Exactly 520,000 pun kita add. And then we have long-term debt. Long-term debt adalah 676, 568. And don't forget the dividend. So the dividend just now kita calculate, kita dapat 11,000 kan? 11,000. And don't forget dividend, we always minus. Okay. Profit plus, losses minus, depreciation plus, dividend minus. So bila you total up this one, you get 1,214,168. So far lebih kurang macam ni lah. Okay, so summary. You akan dapat net cash tadi kan. Net changes in cash maksudnya. Net ya, letak net cash lah. Net cash. You ambil 1,214,168 minus 711 minus 503, you're gonna get a negative of 1,718. Okay, 1,718. Cash at the beginning. Okay, ni daripada balance sheet tadi, it's 9,000 ringgit. Cash ending of the year is for the current year, 2005, it became 7,282. And that's complete our cash flow statement. Tak cukup besar. Beli kan nampak lah, lebih kurang macam tu lah, 7,282. So yang 9,000 dengan 7,282 ni comes from the balance sheets. Okay, 1,718 ni sebenarnya boleh je tolak 7,282, tolak 9,000, dia dapat je 1,718 ni. Tapi to check whether it's correct or not, make sure 1,214, 168 minus 711, 950 minus 503, 936 will get you the same answer. Okay, then barulah betul lah your operating activities, investing, and also the financing activities. Right, so with that, that's the end of topic number 2. Ada soalan? Alright, so as I mentioned tadi, this session is recorded. I will share with you the link dalam UFuture later. So siapa yang tak sign in lagi, please sign in your attendance. Jangan lupa nak sign in your attendance dalam UFuture. Alright, so I'll stop here for today. Thank you very much. I tak expect dia terlebih 2 minit ni. So selamat buka puasa. And insyaAllah I'll see you guys in the second meeting nanti. Alright, still online. Alright, thank you and Assalamualaikum.